How to know if your breakup is definitive? It's the question I get maybe 90% of the time when I speak with my clients for the first time. We are confused. You are confused because the person you love the most tells you awful things like, I don't love you anymore, I don't want us to start or to try again. But what does it mean to be gone for good? And you'll see, I will explain that it's more complex than this. I will explain that what you hear and see from your ex is actually not necessarily the reality, because you cannot necessarily believe your ex. I'll explain you everything after the jingle.
IGetMyExBack.com. Everyone deserves a second chance.
So right now, the problem you have is that you don't attract your ex anymore. You don't attract them anymore emotionally. And so the reason you're doing this is because they took the risk to leave you forever. And we have an emotional reaction, a reflex to tell them, to warn them, to tell them, don't leave me, I love you. And so you want to confront them, you want to stay in touch with them. And so you get in touch with them a lot, right? That's the emotional reaction to a breakup. And it's normal, and I don't blame you for that. I've done the same mistakes in the past. And when you tell them, I will always be there for you, of course you're telling them because you're scared of losing them. You're watching my video because you're scared of losing them, right? There's no problem about that. The problem is that when you behave in the same way with them, they aren't scared of losing you because they have you, right? And there's a power dynamic. It's very important for you to understand this power dynamic. In this case, they keep all the power, all the control. They took the decision. They know you're around. They know that your only objective is to get them back. And they don't have to make any effort, right? It's their idea. They're sort of happy with the decision. And you are on the hook. The problem is the behavior or the attitude and the actions that you took after the breakup might confirm their decision. We'll discuss afterwards whether this breakup is definitive, but it's very important for you to understand this dynamic, because emotionally, in your gut, you create those actions, this desire to connect, this attitude of being clingy and needy. And again, I don't blame you for that. It's very much emotionally driven. However, my job in this video is to help you detach yourself from those emotions and start thinking with your, not that you're stupid, but start thinking with your brain to calculate your next move and to make sure that this breakup is actually not definitive, because you'll have some impact on this. No contact to regain control. So that's the first thing I would recommend you to do. So your ex can really experience life without you. They will probably be happy at the beginning, but at some stage you will experience a feeling of loss and be regretful. You can't regret something that you have. It's as simple as that. You can't miss something that you have and you see and hear from every single day or every week. The problem you have is that people rarely admit their mistakes. But we do make mistakes and we do them every day. And it's the same for your ex, and your ex will give you a hard time and will give them a hard time to realize that they made a mistake. It will become obvious. And I'll explain what to do. What happens when your ex leaves? Could be different options. The rebound relationship. Sometimes people decide to date someone else very quickly. And the reason they do that is not because they feel secure and balanced and want to construct something. It's just because they want to avoid the breakup. They want to dismiss anything that happened. It's superficial. They're using the other to cope with the breakup. And as I discussed, is to dismiss those emotional pain. These relationships usually fail. They fail because they can't compete with what you had. I work with people who have had what I call the unique relationship, where you know what you had with your partner was unique, and the same for them. And so if you think about it for a second, how can they, by meeting someone, even though the person is amazing, is good looking, successful, and all of that, can match what you had and what you built. Because finding someone unique takes years, right? You didn't meet your ex randomly after a week dating, starting to be on a dating app, right? It took maybe years, maybe you got divorced and now you remarried, maybe you had different partners in the past, and this one is different, right? It's the same for your ex. So statistically, that's impossible that a rebound could really match your relationship. And so at some stage, they will realize that they make a mistake and they will beg you. This is what happens if, again, you do the right things after the breakup. And the reason they'll beg because they have no news from you, and they'll be in a situation where they took a decision to leave a relationship, assuming that they'll be happier without you. They date someone, they realize that actually you're not that bad. They realize that the person that they're dating doesn't provide the same level of intimacy, happiness, connection, right? And they have no news from you. And that creates a strong anxiety, and that anxiety is a driver for them to contact you. And that's a bit difficult to hear, but exes always come back when we have moved on. I had a case recently of a client of mine. I helped him last year. He wanted to get back with an ex, and we worked together. We got her back, and then it started really on the wrong foot. She was basically kind of a narcissist person, and so he broke up with her. And now she's really begging to keep bringing him back, to take him back. And he was struggling when we were working together. But now he completely moved on. He wants to move forward and do something else with his life. His whole life is not surrounding around that person. He has now a new social support, and everyone in his life is here to support him, and he doesn't need her, he doesn't want her. And that brings, that's actually it's an amazing driver, an amazing catalyst for her to beg him, really literally beg him. He sent me some text of her. You'd see like the text he would send him when she broke up with him, when she was like, was really hardcore sort of insults, to now her begging him. One thing, if you want to, I always forget to say that, you can, if you haven't, it'd be amazing if you could subscribe. It's the best and easiest way for you to support my work. If you want to support, as you can see, only a minority of people of my viewers are subscribers. So take 1 second, it's actually half of a second, to click on the little subscribe and the bell, and you'll be notified anytime I post a new video. So when is it definitive? That's the question. As I discussed, I'm not coaching people who want to flirt, or who had like a flirt, or were in a honeymoon phase and after 6 months it didn't work. The principle is that life is extremely long, and I have a strong belief that if you are meant to be together, and if you don't damage the relationship more than it was, you can come back with your ex. Now, there are cases where you should realize that there's no other option, i.e., you are not meant to be together, probably, or there's like that page of the book is closed, the book is closed, right? If your ex gets married or engaged, that's a no-go. If the rebound, they're dating someone, but that rebound lasts more than 6 months, that's not really a rebound, right? In those cases, it means they are not involved emotionally. And it's going to be really hard for you to reconnect, right? The idea is to really leverage that emotional connection that you have, and this emotional connection, you don't keep it by staying in touch, right? You actually increase it by going no contact. The problem is that your ex doesn't want you to suffer. If we show depression, sadness, again, I'm talking about the attitude that you have after a breakup. People can react in a defensive way or sometimes dismissive way when this happens, including your friends. And you've probably experienced that when you speak with your friends about this breakup. At some stage, usually after 2 months, people tend to tell you, okay, I've heard your story, I understand you're sad, I'm sad that you're sad, move on, find someone else. It's clearly not working, he or she clearly doesn't want you, what you're doing doesn't work, it means that they don't want you, give up. The problem is obviously welcoming those feelings, emotions is a job. And as a therapist, I've been trained to help people and to unpack those things. And unless you have friends who are therapists or counselors or psychologists, it's kind of a job to do that. So people need to understand this. Your best friend would not necessarily do a good job about that. And it's nothing about their value and how important you are in their life. It's a job, it's a skill. However, the important thing, the point of this slide is that if you're sad, depressed, and you show it to your ex, that will reflect a wrong image. A lot of people think that, yeah, but if they see me sad, they will react. Because when we were together and I was sad, they were supportive. No, that's the worst strategy to get an ex back. If they see you sad, depressed, that would reinforce the idea that you're not a strong person, that you're too emotional, and that they're done with you. They don't want to support you anymore, and that's not their role anymore. And again, don't get me wrong, it's okay to be depressed, it's okay to be sad and anxious. Just realize that your ex is not the right person at this stage to support you. Now, the problem you have also right now is that our brain tends to project today into the future. Your emotional state that you are right now, you project it in the future. I feel so bad, I feel so shit. And therefore I'll be the same like this forever. We always do that. The problem is that you forget what you had with your ex. You forget the happy moment. A lot of people tend to, and it's very frequent to think like, I'm not going to date anyone anymore. I'm not good for love. I'm ugly. And I tell them like, hold on. You were in a relationship with someone. So at least there was someone who found you attractive, interesting, amazing, or worth spending time with. And you've been with that person for 10 years. So what would be the difference now? You're projecting your own fear to a reality because right now you feel like shit. But I guarantee that 6 months ago, you were the same person and you didn't feel the same. So you sort of taint all your thoughts with your fear, right? And we project, when we're anxious, when we are stressed, we project our emotional state and we project it into the future. Getting back with an ex is achievable because we know it worked. I can't help you if you're single and want to date people. I don't know how to do it. I think it's really complex because there's a lot of dating scene is extremely complex. But it's really about, starting from scratch. When I help people getting back with the ex, I know that their ex were attracted to them. I know that there's compatibility. I know that they could work together. That something didn't work towards the end. But I know that at some stage, you guys were madly in love, were happy together. So in a way, it's just a question of getting back to that emotional state. If you are overwhelmed by these negative thoughts and project yourself really and sort of obsessed about these negative thoughts, the best way to manage those is to go no contact. Again, by being in no contact, you'll be able to protect yourself from the thoughts and not having because we also tend to have sort of the reflex when we send message to our ex or when we expect a message from our ex to create stories. And those stories create really negative thoughts and obsession and anxiety. Don't put your life on hold. When you go no contact, it's not just a question of, unfollowing your ex on Instagram or deleting their number and just do nothing. It's a control battle. If your ex is moving forward, you should do the same. They are not controlling your life anymore. Don't let them control your life. They took the decision to break up with you. Of course it's awful. Of course it's a shock. But that's your responsibility to move forward. As I discussed, compassion doesn't work. Showing them that you're sad and that you're crying doesn't work. Obviously, it's very easy for me to say, but there are other ways for you to feel better. Get some help from a therapist, a counselor. As I discussed, friends are a great support if you feel that you don't necessarily get exactly what you want for them, or maybe because friends are not available all the time. Get in touch with me if you want to change that state of mind. That's my job, to help you cope with this, to help you see the positive things, to help you move forward and not put your life on hold. Because otherwise, if you put your life on hold, you basically tell to yourself, my ex has a control over me, a control over my life, and I'm not gonna move forward. So now let's talk about seduction. It starts when you get in touch with your ex. It starts with a small chat, getting to know each other, the idea of nurturing a bit of mystery. So they want to know more. So all these kind of strategies are the ones that I use with my clients when I have clients that I coach on WhatsApp, and when they're in touch with the ex, or when I want to prep them for a date, I really help them on this. But it needs to be in this order. Really make sure that you don't rush things. So you build intimacy, you're sharing good times, and at the end of the process, when you know that the door is open, you make out and you have sex, you do whatever you want. But don't be a Ted Mosby. Here a little extract of what I want you to avoid, because I see that almost every week.
So it's over between me and works with Carlos' girl.
Whoa, that was fast.
Yeah. I was trying to think, what's the quickest way to get rid of a girl you just met? I think I'm in love with you.
What?
Thanks, bro.
Glad I could help.
Okay, so don't be a Ted Mosby. Don't say I love you just after you saw your ex for the first time in a while. That's the worst thing. That's the best way for your ex to freak out and leave you again. Nothing is definitive. Even if your ex tells you never, exes, I know by experience, lie, usually during a breakup. Even if you feel there's no way, you will be surprised, but you will be surprised as long as you do the right things, as long as you move forward, as long as you have life goals, right? It's really about your self-development. If you are meant to be together, you will end up together. If you are meant to be together and you don't do the work, you'll never be together. If you are meant to be together, you do the right things, you have the right attitude, you respect your ex, you understand them, you will get back together. Of course, this part could be difficult, right? But if you are meant to be together, there's no way they'll say no. And don't tell me, yes, but my ex is stubborn. Yes, but my ex, she or he is strong-willed. They never change their mind. Trust me, at some stage they realize that they made a mistake. If you have the right attitude, if you build a successful and fulfilling life, of course they will want to be part of it. And that's my job to bring you on this. So what about now? Time is your ally to work on yourself, to create this desire from your ex. It feels difficult. See how you could build up this resilience, this confidence, because I know a breakup really shatters confidence. But what if I tell you in 6 months you get back together? How would you feel? This weight on your chest. How would you feel? That's what you should be doing right now. Take the test, have a quiz that will assess whether you have any chance of you getting back with your ex. If you have a score above 15, it means that you have a chance to get back with your ex. Now, the question is not about if, but it's about when. And when we transition our mindset between if and when, this is when magical things happen, and when we start moving forward and really creating the condition for us to be happy, to create the condition for them to get back with us, because we'll be more confident, we'll be stronger, and we'll have learned from the breakup and be potentially, have this forgiveness and all of that. If you have any other question, if you want to get in touch with me, there are links in the description. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.